Welcome back to Life Changing Wealth. You know who it is. It's your boy, Jason Biondo here. I post 2 videos every day about the stock market, cryptocurrency, and investing. If you like the content, give the video a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button to help me get this channel off the ground. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Let's jump into it. So today we're going to talk about fear and greed and how that affects your investment choices and really your whole thought process on investments in general. So I have a couple treats for you today, but before we get started, I want you to think about a lot of times when people think about their investments, they are immediately gripped with fear because they think lose money, how much money could I lose? And they don't want to lose it, right? So they live in this sort of state of paranoia because you fear what you don't know. And that's why that's why I'm here to try to make this a little more simple so that you guys get a better understanding of your different investment options so you don't have to be afraid. And so we can sort of move past that. And the interesting thing is fear is not just a mindset when it comes to investments. It also has to do with, how old you are, what your current life circumstances are, what your current cash flow is. There's a lot of things to consider when you think of fear and greed when making your investment choices. So those are some things that I think about when I look back on myself and I reflect on the choices that I make. We're here to make life-changing wealth. That's what I'm about. And the only way to do that is to take a lot of risk and to be a little bit more on the greedy side of things. Greedy, not stupid. There's a big difference. So I would say I'm very greedy with when I make an investment in a position. And I choose to not live in that that fearful state of what could I lose. But that's me. That's how I operate. Not everybody operates the same way. So what I want to show you today specifically is an indicator called the Fear and Greed Index. This one in particular is created by CNN, CNN's Money Index, Fear and Greed, all about what drives the market. And what's interesting is this kind of gives you an overall picture of what the market is doing. Are they living in a state of fear? Are they living in a state of greed? And so the higher the greed scale goes, or the higher up on the greed, right now we're at a 72, the higher that goes, the greater chance there is for a correction in the market. So, and also the flip side of that is that when the market is in extreme fear, that often presents an optimal time to buy. This, however, is not. There's many indicators out there. This is not the only indicator you should consider when making your investment decisions based on when you should get in or out of the market, or where you should go with it. But I like to look at it just to see where things are. Where's the sentiment of the overall economy? And it really does give you kind of a barometer of what's going on, of what's happening in the whole economy. So, with that said, how is this measured, right? Because how do you measure fear and greed? Well, they kind of break it down. So first they break down sort of the safe haven demand as to how much are stocks outperforming the bond market. Okay, and I don't know exactly what the weighting of this formula is. They don't necessarily tell you exactly, but they give you kind of a brief overview of when this gets extended, we get to extreme greed. So also they measure the junk bond demand. Are people what's the let's see here, what's the yield difference in junk bonds right now? What premium can you get on junk bonds? They also measure the put and call options market. Are there more put options, meaning are people betting that the market is going to go down? For those that understand options trading, we'll get into that in a later video. And then also, are there more call options? Are there more people placing bets that the market's going up? So where do people lean on the side of that? In addition to that, what's the overall market momentum? Are things moving up? And then they go into a few other indicators: stock price breadth, market volatility. That's a big one, because the more volatile a market is, the more fear that typically is occurring. There's a lot of people that are afraid. A lot of people selling. A lot of people buying back in potentially. But still, it looks like they use the VIX, which the VIX is it's like an indicator. It almost gets tracked like a stock. And if the VIX is high, then there's high volatility in the market, which is another way to measure fear. And then also they measure the stock price strength. And so they give you a kind of this overview of where the fear and greed are over time, and sort of where these levels are. And interestingly enough, they often coincide with price action. So that's the overall stock market fear and greed index. Let's jump to the Bitcoin fear and greed index, which I also find interesting that there's a specific Bitcoin index for this, which is right now at 76. So we are now in extreme greed mode. And even though this is extreme greed mode, I don't fully buy into this, because I think the market has quite a ways to go. But it goes to show you, last month we were at a 27. And so it's just kind of another cool indicator to think about. We won't go over all the exact details, but it is measured different than the stock market. This whole indicator has a different calculation than the stock market one. Also coincides with a lot of price action. And if we kind of just briefly go over it, we have how it's measured, which is the volatility, the overall market momentum. This one takes into consideration Reddit sentiment, social media posts. Looks like it's not weighting survey responses anymore, but it also does a 10% weighting on the dominance of Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin dominance trending up? Very interesting. The stock market doesn't seem to have this kind of weighting. And also, what is the overall trends? So pretty cool indicator that you can sort of add to your toolbox. And just to give a little more background on this, a lot of times when we think of fear and greed, we can think of it mathematically in terms of sort of what is the standard deviation of price movements in the marketplace. And a lot of times that'll kind of break down sort of where the fear and greed is. So those are some things that I look at. I use these indicators more just to get a feel of what the market's doing, and it's something worth looking at. It's something worth considering. It's not going to necessarily be your go-to tool to make an investment decision, but I do want to share it so that you can sort of add it to your toolbox. That's it, guys. That's what I wanted to leave you with for this video. Don't forget to check out my other videos on investment, content, stock market picks, cryptocurrencies. Hit the subscribe button below. I want to get at least 1,000 likes on this video. Also, give me a comment below. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the fear and greed index? Is this something that you would use? Would you use this to determine your entry points or your exit points? I want to hear from you guys. So let me know down below, and I will catch you in the next video.